everyone, this is Oksana, and today we're going to make this fun and beautiful beginner pendant. Now it's a beginner pendant because it actually uses a bead. You can see the hole of it right there, but it's kind of like the next level of beginner because we are incorporating some of the thin weaving wire, and we're doing a woven pattern on the bail as well as wrapping that weaving wire and adding some beads. So this is a little bit more difficult, but these are all round wires and beads. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Rio Grande for sponsoring this video. I love their wire. My wire is all from them. And I love their tools as well that they sell. They just have so many wonderful wire wrapping supplies. So a huge thank you to them. And I will also leave a tutorial I have just for this weaving pattern for the bail. I'll leave that for you guys in the comments as well as underneath the video in the info section in case you are new to weaving and you want to practice that before starting this pendant. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I will be starting with one piece of 20 gauge round copper dead soft wire, and it is 12 inches long. And this is the exact wire that I'm using. It's from Rio Grande. These are their 1 pound spools, so you get tons and tons of wire on these. So I'm using the 20 gauge round dead soft copper. And then for my thin wire here, for the weaving portion, I'm using 28 gauge round dead soft copper. And for my tools, I have this set of Swanstrom tools. They are also from Rio Grande, and I'm going to be using these two here, the pliers and the wire cutters. And the Swanstrom tools are actually on sale right now at Rio Grande for the month of August. So if you just use the code Swanstrom, I'll also write it in the comments as well as under the video, you get 10% off this month. For my stone, I'm going to be using this bead right here. It is Jasper, and it is in the shape of a teardrop. There you can see the drilled hole. It just goes top to bottom, drilled through this way. And it measures almost exactly 1 inch tall. Now you can use any shape of bead. If you want to use a round bead, like a coin bead, that's okay too. And we can position it like this or like this. It'll work either way. I think I'm just going to do this for the purposes of this video. So we're going to take our 20 gauge wire and we're going to bring the ends of it together just to kind of fold it in half a little bit. And once you've done that, you can take your bead and just slide it on the wire all the way down to this bend that we've made. And now we're going to take the wire and make sure that this is the back. However you want your stone positioned, you can flip it if you want this to be the front. I think I want this to be the front. So then we're just going to push on this wire and press it up against the back of the bead. So it's just going up the bead. Now we can still slide up and down. That's okay. We'll lock it in place in a minute, but for now, you just want to press it like this. So it should look like this. Now we're going to take our pliers, because what we want to do is we want to line up these wires so we can weave our bail. So as of right now, you have one in the front and one in the back, but we want them to be side by side. So what I'm going to do is press them together with my pliers like this. And then if you look at them, they're now side by side. You can even separate them out a little bit if you want. That will make the bail a little bit thicker as we weave it. So here is my 28 gauge round wire. I have it connected to the spool. I just picked up the end of it. I'm not cutting it because we don't know how much wire it's gonna take to weave our bail. So it's easier just to leave it on the spool. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I'll leave a video just for this weaving pattern if you want a slower video. So I'm putting the wire in between the two base wires, and I'm just going to hold it here in the back. I'm just going to press it all together with my stone and everything. And the weaving pattern is going to go like this. I'm going to bring it up, forming a little wrap around that bottom wire. I'm going to bring it over the top wire and under, so that forms a little wrap around the top wire as well. Then I'm going to bring it up and over both wires, then up and over just the bottom wire, up and over just the top wire, up and over both. So I'm just going to keep going with that. And what you want to do every once in a while as you are doing this pattern is you just want to take your pliers and you just want to push it together so it's nice and tight like this. And for the wires, if you want to have them separated like I have here for a little bit of a thicker bail, what you want to do is you want to come in here and kind of where you envision the top of your bail to be. So we're going to curve the bail, and it's going to be front of the bail, then the very top, and then the back. So kind of envision how high up you want the top of your bail to be, and then we're going to come in here and we're just going to put some bends into the wire, because although the wires are separated, we do want them to come together eventually. And then when we're done with our bail, we want them to line up. So I'll show you what the end result of this bending is here in 1 second. But it's basically like this. They're going to stay separated so we get that thicker bail. This is the thickest part, and then we want them to come together like that. And as you're weaving, another thing that helps is if you take this top wire and you kind of curve it up, and the bottom wire curve it down. This way, when you're weaving and you take your weaving wire, so I'm just continuing the pattern down across both, and now I need to bring it in between. I have this little area and I can just pop it in right in between. It's easy. So just continuing with this weaving pattern until we have done it all the way through this little area. So I'll just do this for a little bit off camera because it's just very repetitive at this point. So as we are approaching the end here of the bail, I just want to point out one more time the importance of coming in here and pushing the wraps together just every couple of wraps, or whenever you see them separating, pushing them together with your pliers. All right, as we're finishing up our bail here, what we're going to want to do is separate out these two wires, and we're going to start wrapping around one of them. So I'm just going to do the left one. So you're just wrapping around it for a little bit. We're not going to trim off the wire. We're going to be wrapping a lot more around this same wire later, but for now we just want to get that started and get a little bit of a wrap going, and then we're going to make our bail. So just a little more here. All right, just like a little piece like this, that should be good. And this is the little wire end where we started the weave, so we're just going to grab our wire cutters and we are just going to trim that very, very short. And if you see the little end sticking up, you just want to press down on that, squish it down. So this is the back. Let's flip it back over to the front, and we're going to bend our bail into the bail shape. So we're going to bend it forward a little bit, and then you can use something round to bend it around, or you can just do it with your fingers like me, because you basically just need a curve. Start a curve, and it's going to go around and we're just slowly bending it into the bail shape, and we want each wire here to be on either side. So from the back, like this, these wires are open and they're coming from back to front. So keep closing up your bail until you have this little bail shape and you have your 2 wires here on either side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our wire with the little weave on it, the little wrap that we started, and we're going to bend it here just from left to right, right across the front. It's going to stay kind of towards the bottom here, and this other wire is going to stay on top of it, and we're going to also bend that across. So if I just press on them like this, you can see they have been bent. Here you can see the side and the back. And so what I'm going to do is just keep wrapping this little wire just a little bit more. It's quite short, and before I bend this wire, I'm just afraid if I bend this wire, it's going to like cover this up and it's going to be hard for me to get in here and continue this weave. So I'm going to do it just a little bit longer until it goes maybe to just like the edge of the stone here. All right, so that's good. Now it's kind of out of our way. So what we're going to do with this wire that doesn't have anything on it is we're going to hold our bail. We're going to take this wire and we're going to give it a little bit of a curve. We're just going to curve it down and just across gently like this until it is here on this side. And then once it gets to the side, we are going to bend it from front to back like this. Okay, so now with this wire that has the little wrap on it, we are going to bend it also in a curve. And now we're going to continue our little wrap, because at this point we are going to wrap the wire and then kind of bend it and see how long the wrap needs to be, because it just kind of depends on the size of this little swirl. And then we're also going to be adding some beads just for fun. You don't have to do it. And actually, if you don't want this little wrap, if you just want it to be a bare wire like this wire here, then that's totally fine. You could have just ended your wire right here after you finish the bail. But I think this is just a nice little decorative detail. All right, so let's see if that is long enough for our little loop swirl thing. There we go. That looks good. Just gonna do a teeny bit more and then I'll start adding the beads. So for my beads, I just have some seed beads. They're at 11-0 and they happen to fit very well on my wire. So to add a bead, you just slide it on like this, just to right where the wire starts, and then you're gonna take the wire and just kind of skip over the bead and just keep wrapping it like that. So you just want to decide what kind of beads you want to use, how many little wraps you want in between the beads. So I'm going to add another one now. I did 3 wraps in between. And now I'm going to do 3 wraps after this bead as well. So 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm going to add a bead that is slightly different. I just kind of look through my collection, and this is just a little crystal faceted bead. Looks like that. So same thing, adding it and keep wrapping. So I'm going to do 3 again. just to keep consistent with the spacing there. So here's how that is looking. So now I'm adding a seed bead. And let's do the 3 wraps. 1, 2, 3, and let's see, is it reaching the edge? I think we have the space to add another seed bead. And now instead of just 3 wraps, I'm just gonna wrap for a little bit. Let's push that all together so there's no gap. Let's see how it looks across the stone. Does it reach all the way across? I think if I do just a little more, I just don't want to bend it to the back and then have it where you can't see this little wrap. I want the wrap to just kind of be on the side of my stone. All right, so I think that is good. So what I'm going to do now is just trim this wire. And now with the pliers, pressing on that little wire end, almost just kind of like curving it. So it's hidden away. And now we're just going to bend it from front to back. Just like this. And then here on the back, we now have the 2 wires. Let's put them side by side like this. What we're going to do is we're going to trim them, but you want to leave a pretty decent end. Don't cut it super short. Okay, you can always cut it shorter later if the little end that you leave ends up being too long. Like this might be too long, but I'll just trim it later if needed. So what we're going to do is this wire going across the back, we're going to lift it up a little bit with our pliers, or if you can just wedge something in there just to lift it up from the stone like I did here. And we're going to take these wires and we're going to just kind of pull it back and then under. So same thing with this one, just kind of pull it back a little bit and tuck it under that wire that we've lifted up. So now we're just going to press on them to make sure that there isn't a gap right here on the side. You can just look at the front real quick to make sure nothing here got messed up due to that. So back over to the back, we're going to grab the little end and we're going to kind of curve it this way, both of them, because we are going to make a connection. We're going to push down on the wire ends to kind of form a little loop that's wrapped around this back wire. So I can see that the ends are actually a little long, and I could probably trim them a little bit to make this easier. So I'm going to give them a little trim, and I'm going to take them one at a time. I'm going to take it with my pliers, basically point the end of it down like into the stone and then press down on it so the wire end is pointing at the stone and you can't see it or feel it. And then same thing here, just kind of point downwards and then press with your pliers. And then since we lifted the wire, there's a little bit of a gap there now. You can just press down on that either with your fingers or with your pliers to get rid of that gap. Okay, so this is what our back looks like. I can see our bail got I accidentally smushed it and it's pushed to the side here. So I'm just gonna fix the bail. You can just use your fingers to straighten it out if you accidentally smushed it. And that's it. Here is our little decorated pendant. So here's the finished pendant. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will give me a like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.